Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about the double down pulse method, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals.
You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video.
Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, so I'm excited to talk about this just because it is a topic that I've recently seen a lot more information about. It's from the Weck Method. It's something that has become a lot more popular from an internet perspective, and I really just want to go more in depth about what ends up being some of the negatives behind that, in my opinion, right? So for some people this might work, for others it probably won't work as well. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I think ends up being kind of a distraction and creates more of a slow full contact time, even though it's kind of promoted to be able to help you out with your full contact time. But we'll hop in the video now. So, this is the same athlete here, same day. And, he didn't really try to do this. I think he just hasn't really been coached from a, arm mechanic perspective. I was able to, this one, I want to say he was at like 15.9. And then this one was at 18. So he's able to get a good amount of improvement here by just being able to sync up the arms better. This is miles per hour. And so what ends up happening here is we can see as he's kind of driving through in this position, it kind of looks a little bit weird with how he's going with the arms in general, but you can see how he's really pushing downwards, right? And what happens when you have more of this like downward action with the hand is that the legs follow, right? There's a lot of coordinated motion that's happening within the arms as it's happening within the legs. We talk about this a lot. And what happens when you do that is now we end up creating more downward straight force, which is again going to increase full contact time. So, really what I like to think about when going through with my arms is creating more of a horizontal movement there, just because now as you end up coming down, so see, there is a downward movement. I'm not trying to say that there isn't a downward movement, but when you focus more on horizontal, that helps in creating more of a pullback with the leg, right? So you can see how he's pulling back with the leg now because he's focusing on driving the elbow back. Right, the elbow does go down a bit, but he's also driving back with the elbow, where when you kind of lock that elbow in and try to get more of a tricep extension, right, and try to push more downwards, again, the elbow is going back a little bit, but the action of the shoulder and of the arm is here rather than there. Okay, and I think that's what ends up kind of causing issues within that double down pulse method when it comes to being able to maximize speed. Now, his big argument is, like Deion Sanders did it, and, Usain Bolt, like Deion Sanders kind of did it when he was running with the football like that. And I would say, because the big thing is like he's one of the best, athletes or sprinters ever. I would say that most of the sprinters, at least probably top 20 sprinters in the world right now, were probably faster than Deion Sanders ever was. And not to take anything away from Deion Sanders, he's one of the most gifted athletes ever, but that's exactly it. Like, he's a very gifted sprinter. So, and same as Usain Bolt, right? Like, both those guys were very, very gifted. Yeah, they worked a lot on their technique, but I would say Usain Bolt worked a lot more on being able to, really stay healthy and be able to best utilize the body to be able to perform at a higher level. Didn't really go. I see a lot of technique errors when I watch him run. Right. More of like a technical prowess would be somebody like Trayvon Bromell or Marcel Jacobs, and neither one of those guys have any type of double down pulse method within their arms. Even when you watch like a Deshaun Jackson or John Ross or some of the fastest athletes now, a lot of those guys are not following the double down pulse method. None of those guys are. So, point being is, I understand, having some type of cue, it can be beneficial, right? So I don't want to just make it, and I don't understand 100%. I've never gotten, I forgot what the guy's name is, but I've never gotten coached by the individual that made the Weck method. And so, it's not saying that there's anything wrong with it, and I don't fully comprehend it, but I do want, I did have this example happen, and I kind of brought up to the athlete, like, did you follow this like method where they teach you to kind of push down, and kind of make it more of that type of an action? And he didn't. He said he didn't get any teaching from it, but you could just tell it was kind of naturally something that he would do, and it really limited what he could do from a front side mechanics perspective and how much force he was generating per step, which makes it so now he's not picking up as much distance per step. So you're not optimizing your steps as well if you go more in that downward motion. So then when he was able to kind of sync up those arms more effectively and reach out more, now he was able to, get closer to his potential. I still think this is the first time I worked with him, and he was able to, improve from, like a 15 mile an hour to an 18 mile an hour. Now, I do think he was using more of his full potential on this one, but I think that he just got to the beginning of what he could really do from a sprinting technical perspective because he's never really gotten coached like that. So, really going into the technical side, I think it really ends up being beneficial, especially if you've got a lot of strength, a lot of power, a lot of natural ability. Now, what you can really connect that technical aspect, it really makes a big difference in how you're able to apply it to the 40, the 60, the 100, the 200, whatever the case may be. You got to be able to understand how to use the strength from the squat and from the deadlift and the single leg jumps and the ability to vertical jump really high or broad jump really far. You have to be able to utilize those components to then apply it to sprinting, or else those components don't get to fully show themselves. And so really putting a big focus on the technical parts of the start, the drive phase, the top end speed is what we want to do within our programs and within the breakdowns that really allow you to be able to gain a lot of improvements really quickly, because we're able to really break down the small parts of the individual movements, see the step, the landing time, your stride rate, how much distance you're picking up per step, and take all that data, take all that information and apply it to something that can help you and really understanding what are the big things that you need to focus on. And I think that's really ends up being the key thing, is what do you need to focus on as an athlete to be able to gain the most amount of speed as fast as you can, and then really isolating that and improving that in order to see the biggest results the fastest. So if you like the information, go ahead and click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you could leave those down below. Definitely take a look at some of the stuff that they talk about within the Weck Method. Check out some of the stuff that we talked about here and be able to kind of formulate your own opinion. I'd love to hear more about it and be able to have some great conversation. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.